and also was seated down in the course of the process. We're going to be discussing on these two very important topics with the panelists who are with me in the studio. We have Prince Joel Amokage, who is a journalist, and I'm glad to have you. Prince.
Greetings to you, Mr. Liu. Greetings to my co-panelists. Greetings to all those who are watching my media program at this particular moment. A special good evening to the peace-loving people of Mr. J subdivision. Is a land of milk and honey. And of course, it's the lecturer's son, Professor Fukalisus Gentry, Minister of Mines, Industries and Technological Development. Courage to you, the SP of the Prime Minister, who lost his father and was buried this week. We want to appreciate all those who were part and parcel to condole with him. It's a privilege to be here, Mr. Liu. I'm sending special greetings to my father, His Royal Highness Fon Thomas Kembose, member of the House of Chiefs for the Northwest region. Okay.
We also have Yai Emmanuel, who is a militant of the CPDM party. Good evening. We're glad to have you, Emmanuel, for the first time on Primark.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Good evening to my fellow panelists. Good evening to my Noni people watching me down there in Bamenda, especially the fun of being palace. And I want to say that we, the Noni people, are money because one of our funds travels to the world beyond, and we are still looking for him. Good evening to the mayor of Noni, who is right there in Bamenda watching us. It's a privilege to be on them.
Okay, we are also going to be discussing with Tamai Jarvis, sitting in for Barrister Akwen, who is not present with us for some health issues. Good evening, glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening to the political stakeholders and the Church of Cameroon, those watching us from the different parts of the parishes, dioceses of Cameroon. A special good evening to them. The Church is one, the Church is holy, the Church is apostolic, and the Church is universal. And to the Bishop of the different dioceses, good evening, and special good evening also to the President of the Republic and the Speaker of our National Assembly, and especially the Senate President. Special good evening to them.
Yes, I'll stay with you. I'll start with the program with you. What exactly did Archbishop Nkea mean by calling on Cameroonians to act beyond the church?
You know, from my own personal interpretation as someone within the church, I believe that many people expected the church to actually come out and say and take a political stand by saying that this is what the people want, this is what must be given to them. But you know, the church is a universal being. When I started by saying that the church is one, the church is holy, the church is apostolic, and the church is universal. In the church, we come to hear theology. In the church, we come for repentance. In the church, we come for penance. In the church, we come for forgiveness. In the church, we come to listen to the word of God. And that's why when you hear, when the first reading is taken, you hear that this is the word of God. We say thanks be to God, and the responsorial psalm comes in, and the second reading comes. We say this is the word of God, and when they take the gospel, we say the gospel of the Lord. We say praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. Now, if you look at what the Archbishop said, he was particularly addressing those who have been heavily criticizing the church for not taking a political stand as far as the just ended October 12 presidential election is concerned. Of course, the people have genuine worry. We will not take away that the fact that the people are asking that the bishops had gone to the presidency where we were told that they went to discuss peace during, peace before, and peace after the election, which to the people, they thought it was a political discussion. And they expected that since the church had observers who observed the presidential election, giving a rough percentage of about 39% of the entire coverage of the presidential election. So the population were expecting that, okay, the church before then, the episcopal letter has been released that the will of the people should be the one that will be respected. That was what was on the episcopal letter, calling on the state to respect the will of the people. After the results came out, the people were expecting that, okay, you had monitored the election, you sent observers, you made us know that you sent observers, can we know the results? And the bishop was clear in that the reason the church observe election is not to come and take a political stand, because in the church you have a CPDM, in the church you have an SDF, in the church you have a CRAM, in the church you have FSNC, in the church you have UPC, in the church you have all of these people who come to listen to theology. And it is the place of the people to take political decision and to take action are not the place of the church, according to the statement from the Archbishop, to actually say that we, the church, stand for this. I know the people may want to base allegiance to what they have observed in other countries like other Episcopal conference. The Archbishop was clear. His grace said, the church is not a political institution. The church is not a political party. That politicians and political parties should take their destiny into their hands and stop indexing the church. To this effect, which means that the church, like we have also been told, that the church, when you come to the church, is to listen to theology, that the pulpit is not a place to settle political scores, but it's a place where people should come and worship and listen to the word of God. If you think that a message addressed with doing the homily is there for you to repent, then you can go on and repent, because the church cannot take a stand. If you take a stand, you have isolated one group of people and another, and besides, you have been the judge, because in the Bible it says thou shalt not judge. So the church is not in any position to judge anybody, rather the church is there to appeal to our consciences. And that's why during the homily there's a place we call the bidding prayer. The bidding prayer says, let us pray for the state and its people, that God will guide them.
When you say the church, in the Bible, we have seen so many prophets sent by God to talk to kings, to change decisions, to take certain decisions. God has sent me to tell you, O king, that if this is not done, this is what is going to happen to you.
That is why the homily is there. During the homily, it's a reflection for you to listen to the homily and listen to the word of God. Because in the homily, they said, corruption is very bad. If the homily they said, thou shalt not. If the homily they said, those who carry out this action, this is what will be for them. The homily passes the message. But the homily, what the people expect is that...
Are you not playing politics here?
No, it's not playing politics.
No, these prophets, they would have waited for the kings to come to the synagogues. They did not wait for them to come to the synagogues. They moved to the kings and spoke to them before the people.
You know, if you look at Hebrews chapter 1 verse 1, it says that in time past, God used to talk to us through the prophets, as you have highlighted. Now, in our own time, God is talking to us through his Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, whom we have confessed to be, which means that God talks to us now directly. In Hebrews chapter 1, God talks to us directly. Now, if you're a politician and you believe in God, God talks to you directly, not through the prophets again.
Prince Joel, I don't know, you understand what he's trying to say? That the homily is the platform through which men of God should preach and talk truth to power. Is the homily not meant to save souls, bring people to Christ? Because if we were to talk strictly on the homily issue, it is winning souls to Christ. But we are talking about politics here. You are not using the homily to talk politics. We are talking about politics. The Bible says that ye are in the world, but ye are not of the world. But there is somebody said, should I pay tax or not? Jesus said,
if to Caesar, what is to Caesar? So to God, what is to God?
But you want to give the impression that there are not two coins. Yeah.
The first thing I want to say is that when I took time to listen to the Archbishop,
yes,
after his outing in Kumba, and what actually made me to focus on it was the fact that he had spurred a lot of reactions on social platforms, so I had to go into it. I think the Archbishop said something like, people should leave bishops to preach the gospel. And I think that the gospel should look into certain ills that are affecting a society, like corruption, like a lot of political fraud and other things. But the bishop rather said that Cameroonians should take their destinies in their hands, which to me, Mr. Leo, is contradicting the kind of the very close romance that Cameroonians must have observed between the church and the Catholic plus the government, which is the regime in place. And many Cameroonians were expecting that if these same bishops had visited Yaoundé, the Unity Palace, and His Grace Nkea was also part of those who visited in Yaoundé, preach for peace during, before and after the presidential elections, the same Cameroonians were expecting that the church that went to the Unity Palace should also tell Cameroonians that, okay, this is what happened during the presidential elections, and this is what we are thinking. And some of these things, Mr. Leo, should also mean, we have seen situations where lots of persons were arrested after the elections, the proclamation of the results, And we have also seen a lot of things that are ongoing. And of course, many persons were thinking that the church, the Catholic, should come out, denounce some of these things. Like you rightly said, Mr. Leo, we observed that Jesus Christ went preaching good, and where there was ill, he always frowned at these ills. So the church, to me, the Catholic Church, if one were to go by some of its those within the church, some big persons within the church, we saw the role that Christian Cardinal Tumi played. May he so rest in peace. And I remember that each time he came out, he always wanted accountability and held power to give accounts. And we also want to remember that the Archbishop to Douala, Samuel Kleda, has always been like very hard on the system and has always wanted transparency and accountability. And now we should understand that Nkea was not only speaking as an archbishop, he is the national president of the Episcopal Conference.
Yeah.
So when you come out and speak, there's one thing I always say, Mr. Liu. When Mr. Leonard goes to a village meeting, now there should be a difference in what he says as the director, the managing director of BT Media Group, and Leonard, who is an individual. Now, when you saw what Nkea was saying, one will take home the impression that this was a kind of a collective voice of the bishops. Since he's a president, of course, he was addressing the bishops and some Cameroonians as the head of that body. And I also think, Mr. Liu, that to me, when most people, to me, misinterpreted his call or what he said, because when he said that Cameroonians should take their destinies in their hands, many persons, if you look at what many people were thinking online, it's like he was encouraging violence. But I rather look at it in a way that he was rather saying that we are living in a country where, Mr. Liu, you tell people go and register, and Cameroonians don't register. Why? Because they think that at the end of the day, the CPDM will always still vote. That's what most people will tell you. You tell Cameroonians vote and protect your vote. Most Cameroonians don't even go to vote, neither do they even see that they should protect. Why? Because they think that they are within a system where, irrespective of what they do, it wouldn't pay. So I'm rather looking at it at the angle that Bishop or Archbishop Nkea was encouraging Cameroonians. As we are talking now, elections Cameroon Elecam says that people can start registering. And of course, this is the time. And they also have, there are also civil societies, Mr. Leo, which to me, I think that they have this role to check government policies and present to Cameroonians. So Cameroonians, to me, did not actually interpret the interpretation they gave to what Archbishop Nkea said. Many persons looked at it to mean that he was encouraging violence, because if you tell someone, take your destiny in your hands, you're telling the person that if something is wrong to you, act accordingly. But I still feel, and I'm still maintaining my opinion, that the national president would have rather looked at it differently. He would have been presented to Cameroonians what the church has been doing to ensure that there is transparency, not only during elections, but he should also be showing the role that the church plays during the day-to-day management of Cameroonian activities. So, to me, a lot of persons misinterpreted.
But clearly, he is saying that politicians should not hide behind the church to ask the church to do their job. Is he saying that the bishops or the church, they have nothing to do with politics? That
is why I'm saying that it is out of proportion.
Okay.
First of all, because we saw this same church that went to the Unity Palace, and we have always seen the church having a center role to play around decision making in not only in Cameroon but in different countries. We have, look at the role that Desmond Tutu played in South Africa. It tells you that the church, and most particularly the Catholic Church, has a very, Mr. Leo has a key role to play. If I'm not mistaken, the president of this nation is a Catholic, and most of the big ministers in this nation are Catholics, which means that when they come to even sit in church, the church also has that responsibility to preach virtue, to tell them to take a part in the political life of the country,
in fixing the nation.
In fixing the nation.
Mr. Emmanuel, should religious leaders play an active role in political and civic responsibility, or should they remain neutral?
Thank you, Mr. Lo. Before I answer your question, let me express sincere gratitude to the Bishop of Kumba, Monsignor Agapitus, who is a Noni man. He's one of the Noni person. So, with respect to your question,
yes,
there is something Cameroonians have taken onto, which we need to understand. The rate of anger, the rate of desperation has made Cameroonians to be transferring anger at the least possible thing anybody says. The bishop is very right in what he says. The bishops are there to preach the gospel. They are there to denounce what is not good, and they are there to encourage what is good. And there is no way the bishops are permitted to interfere in political things. Which means that what they say, they have to be neutral, and neutral in the word and in meaning. So when I hear Cameroonians who go online, who are trying to bash at Bishop Nkea for having spoken the mind of the church, because he is standing there as the president of the National Conference. So he spoke the mind. It is not today he started speaking. He has been speaking on several, even during presidential campaign. He spoke. The letters we read here, we saw the way he spoke. He said, Cameroonian, your destiny lies into your hands. You should not expect other people to come and do what you are supposed to do.
Yeah, but are bishops not Cameroonians themselves? When you say their responsibility is into your hands, you are the chief shepherd. How do you say Cameroonians? The shepherds are also looking onto you.
Yeah, they are looking up.
So,
when he says we the Cameroonians should do what they are supposed to do. They are Cameroonian, but they are not supposed to meddle in political affairs, partisan politics. They are not supposed to be doing that. And that's why they are there as the moral part of the state. They are there to guide the souls. And that's why they talk to everybody. Politicians,
why did they not stay? Why did they not stay in the church and pray for elections, and pray for elections before, during, and after elections? Why did they move to the Unity Palace?
They were invited and staying. And by the way, the gospel is not about only prayer. Even the Bible says if you pray and you don't walk, you will not do anything. You will not realize anything. And if they invited them, the kings, as we already gave the name, the kings, the political leaders, they invited them to come for a dialogue. And what is that dialogue all about? The bishops are the ones who live with the Christians who are citizens, who are militant on daily basis. The church, many politicians, they can stay in Yaoundé, in Douala for months without meeting the people, but the bishops, those people are the ones who live day-to-day life with the Christians. And when they call, it is the opportunity for them to express, to tell the people who matter that this is what these people are facing, this is what we are
facing. Is that not already politicking?
It is not. It's just
no. They should just go and say, God bless you. Let us read the Bible. Yes, that from what you and this Jarvis, you are struggling to say. They should have gone there to say, let us open the Bible, the book of John, chapter this. After they read, they preach the Bible, and then they leave. Yes,
they were being invited. Let's take that particular instance.
Yeah.
The bishops were being invited to come to the presidency. When somebody invites you, and this is the agenda that was tabled, we are inviting you for us to discuss on this particular issue. And what is the issue? How are Cameroonians feeling? What are they doing? How are they? You people, because they wanted to get from all aspects of the society. And it is the right place of the bishops, who are not supposed to be partisan, who are not supposed to meddle in political, or even encourage politicians. But we heard so many of them say, people go and vote, register, go and vote. And that is where we think that they are doing the right thing. And we encourage them to do more. What we think, many Cameroonians think that the bishops are failing is because they don't actually pronounce the bad deed as other people expected. During the post-electoral crisis, many people were of the opinion that the bishops were the ones to even stand in front and declare the election. I call you to something. There is a member of the electoral board who is a Catholic priest. And do you think that he is there to not to jeopardize the interest, or to act like a politician, or to act in favor of the church? He is there representing the church and the accurate minds of the honest people. And that is why we encourage Bishop Nkea to continue advocating, praying for the leaders as he has always been doing, educating the Christians, the sheep that he is leading, and equally, he should also be there to denounce those things that are not going. But he should not be partisan, please. We don't want the church to meddle in politics. We saw what happened in DR Congo when bishops meddled in politics and they were sanctioned from the Rome. When bishops meddled in politics, we saw what happened.
Desmond Tutu was sanctioned?
No, I do not talk about this. He wasn't sanctioned. But we saw when the church interfered in politics, it did not go very well.
So the outings of late Cardinal Tumi was sanctioned from Rome?
Late Cardinal Tumi wasn't sanctioned, but because he did not meddle in politics. He was simply speaking his mind, the raw fact, giving his mind the way he's supposed to give.
Preaching the Bible or telling power that this is wrong or right.
The Bible is not a utopia. The Bible goes to work. If you cannot preach what cannot be realized, then don't preach it. They cannot preach it. Which means that if the Bible is talking about good or bad, we should look at the good that is happening in the society and not imagine something.
Yes. Jarvis, very difficult one here. Why are people actually disappointed? At the wake of the Anglophone crisis, we saw the letters emanating from the bishops of Cameroon, of the northwest and southwest regions, speaking truth to power. Before these elections, the bishops met in Boya, and at the end of which they gave the criteria of who should become president. They did not say the book of Romans says that. They said that Cameroon needs a president who should be able to move from region to region to meet the people. Cameroon needs an agile president. Cameroon needs this. And they outlined the things that were not working for this country. That was not the gospel. It was looking at the living conditions of Cameroonians and pinpointing them politically very clearly. Why are we hiding behind some talks that I seem not to understand?
Now, let us get the context here. There is a difference between a homily on the day of the church, and there's a difference between the Episcopal Conference coming together and deciding to write what the people sees. For example, I'm glad you have articulated the Episcopal letter.
No, you
you
get the impression that bishops are supposed to.
Yes, politically, partisan politics, they are supposed to be neutral. Now, the bishops, when they come, because the bishop, His Grace, was talking about the issue on the church, that people expect the bishops to climb the pulpit and start saying this and that and that. Now, if you look at it very clearly, the Church of Cameroon, the Catholic Church of Cameroon, has been consistent in its advocacy for truth, justice, peace, and reconciliation in all that they have been doing. I'm glad you articulated the one of Boya. And after this seminar that they had, which they just had a seminar, you will see that the Episcopal letter will still come back again and they will read it. Now, this is one thing we should distinguish between Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Was not a Roman Catholic bishop.
So the guys.
No, I'm coming. I'm coming. He was not a Roman Catholic bishop. I'm coming. Let me learn. He was not a Roman Catholic bishop. I'm doing it for the perspective of those following us. They should not get confused. He was not a Roman Catholic bishop. And when he came out during apartheid, he said, "Let us not delude ourselves by singing Hallelujah when our children are being killed based on the color of their skins." Now, he was not saying that in the pulpit. It's different from a pulpit presentation. A priest has, like Prince made mention here, there is a journalist on the media, on the microphone, and there's a journalist's opinion as a guest. Now, on the pulpit, like a priest, like a bishop will stand on the pulpit, don't expect the bishop on the pulpit to speak political issue. After the mass, there's what we call a discussion after the mass. After the mass, the bishop may decide to hold a talk with its people and now talk about political issues. The bishops are like the chiefs in the community. If we expect the bishops to take a stand, then we should also expect the chiefs should take a stand. We should also expect the Constitutional Council president should take a stand or publicly. What we are saying is that the bishops are Cameroonians. They have a vote which is a secret ballot like any other Cameroonian. Secondly, after the homily, they cannot have a political talk. We have been seeing bishops, like His Grace Nkea when he was in Manfe. He spoke actively about solutions of resolving the Anglophone crisis. Nobody called him to say that, no, you are not supposed to talk about it, because that was not a homily. You will not expect a priest climbing on the pulpit to deliver a homily to go politically. Yes, the priest can grant an interview and can write a pastoral letter. That's why the pastoral letter are very visible. That priest write a pastoral is like the editorial of a journalist. Pastoral letter is the only editorial.
You mean the pastor? The pastor, we saw a pastor who was shadowed. What has happened is terrible. He was wrong.
They have their own process. Remember, the church is a state. First of all, the Roman Catholic Church is a state. It has a bilateral relationship with the state of Cameroon. It's under the state of Vatican. They have principles and procedures that they follow. Now, on the pulpit, the priest cannot come and stand and say this and that. On the pulpit, the priest can use his homily to win souls and to actually preach the gospel. After the pulpit, the priest has what is given to him as a pastoral letter, where he can write and they read it in the church. The pastoral letter is now the opinion.
What are you really trying to say?
What I'm saying,
you are saying that the bishop said Cameroonians should not expect the church to use the pulpit,
yes,
to talk politics, or he said that people should not expect the church to do what politicians
no
say.
the underlying interpretation here from my perspective, I said from my perspective,
almost everybody misunderstood except you.
No, everybody has a way of reasoning.
Okay.
They may not reason, they must not reason like me. There's not, man, I'm looking at it from the church's perspective. That from the church's perspective, we are looking at it from the pulpit. And I'm corroborating this with the outing of the Bishop of Boya when he granted an interview that people expect them to come on the pulpit to start saying A or B, that the pulpit is not where you settle political scores. Exactly. If I draw from there as using content analysis, I have to also look at based on the outing of the bishop. Now, am I saying that the bishop are not supposed to talk about the ease of the society they are? They have what is called a pastoral letter. On the pastoral letter, they write what they think, like we read in Boya. And after this seminar in Kumba, there will be a pastoral letter. And before the election, after the election, there was a pastoral letter. They wrote the pastoral letter and they explained some of the horrible things that occurred. Why are we not also seeing that they wrote a pastoral letter? People expect them to take the center stage. The truth here is, what have the politicians themselves done to make sure that they actually give the what they feel the people want? The opposition politicians, the civil society. Why is everybody only looking at that? The church should take the lead. The church is taking the lead to its pastoral letter. After this conference in Kumba, go and check the pastoral letter. The same ills that they have been pointing, they pointed it after the election. We read it. They said where irregularities occurred, how people were brutalized, how vote rigging occurred. They don't expect the church to come and say, okay, based on this, therefore, let us do this. In their pastoral letter, they said it clearly. And after this, they will still say it.
Was it necessary at this time, this outing?
I just feel that
because
Archbishop Nkea,
if at the start of the Anglophone crisis, the church came out, they took its stand, they wrote to the Prime Minister severally, to the President of the Republic. We saw the outings of late Kanatumi, who was even leading an all Anglophone conference initiative, and we have seen the church in many spheres talking to power. The Archbishop of Douala here severally has done that. We saw the bishops in the north. Is the Archbishop of Bamenda now reordering the previous outing of his colleagues?
You know that Mr. Leo, public speaking and public presentation, at times you may have a good word, a good intention, but the way you place it may be misconstrued. I want to believe that if Archbishop Nkea was given another opportunity to talk, he will maybe have backpedaled. He will not maybe say what he said. We saw the Bishop of Yagua being very bent, even in a church service on a Sunday, preached to Christians. Yes. So the Bishop of Yagua preached to Christians that this is the kind of president we look forward to. We have seen Samuel Kleda on several occasions talk about good governance. The church, Mesalio, is a place where they preach morals. Bishops, just like pastors, are people who are supposed to build moral rectitude. Now, when you have situations that the nation is having one or two things, many persons were expecting that the bishop, because I still want to say, and that is what I would differ with Jarvis, is I think that Archbishop Nkea wasn't speaking as Andrew Nkea, if I'm not mistaken. He is carrying an umbrella of an organization. And now where the problem is, Mr. Leo, like I said before now, is there has been this very close romance between the Catholic Church and the government. We cannot negate it. There is a very a good relationship between the church, which is a Catholic, and this government. We have seen several ministers constructed churches and handed to the Catholic Church. And I feel that when you now come and say that you do not expect bishops to leave the gospel and start talking politics, there's a problem somewhere. The problem somewhere here is because the church as a team, Mr. Liu, we have seen them address letters to the presidency. We saw the role that Christian Cardinal to be played during the major national dialogue. He even headed a commission amongst the 8 commissions. And now, when you come today, when Cameroonians must have seen how involved, that's what I'm looking at. How involved and active the church has been to say that you are not in politics. I don't know whether the Catholic Church that was represented during the major national dialogue was an organization. No, it was a body. And if we saw the role that Christian Cardinal Tumi was playing during the Anglophone General Conference that was held in Boya and finally failed, he was looking at it that the church has a key role to play in the political destiny of a country. And I think that it will not be wrong for the church to preach, because there are people who take what comes from the church as gospel truth, Mr. Liu. If you go to church and you tell your Christians, you should understand that election rigging is against moral values. The message is clear.
Yeah, but let me just cue you. When the people no longer have trust in politicians, in civil society organizations, and you, the church, now say, no, you guys should, are you not playing conscious
this is what I've said, and like I said, it's my opinion, that if Archbishop Nkea, to me, if he's given another opportunity, he may want to look at what he said differently. Because at times, when you say things, let me just give a very simple example. There is what one professor or university down in Yaoundé said recently. He said that since Bia is said that it should be the 50 billion that is allocated to the youth, and there is a statement he made that many persons interpreted it as though he said that persons should be executed if they are found wanting in managing it. We also want to remember that Senator Mukete in Kumba, we remember that at one time, once the arrears of CDC workers were paid, he made a statement like, the workers of CDC, if they do not vote a particular candidate who is a president, then they would have been ungrateful. Now, but he came back later to say that people misinterpreted. And that's why I'm saying here that, to me, if Archbishop Nkea is given another opportunity, which I think it will be better, it will be good for him to relook at this. Don't forget that during the 48th conference that they held in Boya, the church made their stance on the role they are playing in the Anglophone crisis. The different proposals they have made to see that the crisis should end. Nkea cannot come today, the Archbishop cannot come today and wants to play, like you said, Pontius Pilate, by saying Cameroonians should take their responsibilities and leave the church to preach the gospel. The gospel of God, Mr. Leo, talks against corruption, talks against vandalism, talks against social ills. And I feel that the church would have been presenting before the elections. The church had preached that Cameroonians should go and ensure vote, because their voices count. I don't know what they were saying, but that was already direct and overt involvement.
That was not politics.
What was it?
No.
Do you know how many? Mr. Jarvis. Do you know how many persons decided to go and vote because of what came from them?
Did they say vote a particular candidate?
No, but
they encouraged. They did encourage.
Duty is a civic duty,
and it's not a civil duty for the church to hold the government accountable.
The church has been hold. Let's not get things mixed up here, Prince. The church homily
I attend the church every day, and I follow Bishop Nkea's homily and Bishop Bibi. In the homily, it has all the elements of good leadership, accountability, fairness, based on scriptural. What people expect is that a bishop to come and say that I don't like President Biya or I like President Biya. That is what people are expecting. That is my own interpretation.
Let's even stand by what you are saying. Now, at the beginning of the electoral process, we saw two bishops in the north of Cameroon who used the pulpit to say in clear terms that the president should not run for elections. They said that, and then the Archbishop here in Douala, also came out to endorse that. It was the pulpit. What are you talking about?
The issue here is, let's not also get this mixed up. Every bishop has a right to his diocese.
It's no longer
I'm coming. I'm coming. Every bishop has a right to diocese, and the fact that a bishop does something, and it doesn't mean that you may see it wrongly, you may not see it wrongly, but at the end of the day, it is what the National Episcopal Conference, which is the voice of the church that directs the policy of the church in the state, within that particular state, it is the voice that holds the majority. And if you could hear from the National Episcopal Conference, they have been consistent. Not the president of the National Episcopal Conference. It is a bishop, and a bishop has a right to the opinion first politically as a Cameroonian. We will not take that away from a bishop. If a fact that somebody made a statement doesn't mean that it is out of the policy of he is doing that, which may not be in the policy of the church. The church has its policy, and the church is all the homily. I have made it clear here. We all have been reading the pastoral letters. The pastoral letters have been clear. We have been attending homilies, where in the homily, the index corruption, the index tribalism, the index regionalism, the index embezzlement, they have been consistent. The bottom line, what the people expect the church to do is to say, I don't like this candidate, I don't like this candidate. Any bishop who takes that stand has a right to their opinion. It is their right first as Cameroonian. But the issue here is the president of the Episcopal Conference, what he's saying is that when people expect them to play the political role of a party, that is what they will not do. And that is what many people expect them to take. To say, I don't like this politician, I don't like this politician. I challenge anybody watching us, go and listen to any of their homily, whether you will not follow the fact that they are against.
Good evening to you all watching this edition of the program. Givenchy Info is watching us from Bonaberry. Chance Kibi Bright is watching us from Kumba. Nte Lizette from Bomenda. Kate Kati from Bomenda. To Derek from Nyala Douala. Siri Radiator is watching us from Bomenda, precisely behind chair. Okay, the volume is low. I don't know. They say they should add the volume. Davila is watching us from Suza. Possibility. Major Acha is watching us from Tico United. Zamatu Jivir is watching us from Old Town Bomenda. Julius Masaka is watching us from Douala Bonaprizo at Hotel La Falaise. Wow. Muhammad Usani is watching us from Maiduguri in Borno State in Nigeria. Anyenche Freedom Ranking is watching us from My 8 Mancon Bomenda. Okolo Akama Ngome is watching us from Kribi. Tatiana Blinder is watching us from Rebecca Neu is watching us from Ginicom. And all of you watching us from our social media handle, our Facebook page, good evening to you. Special one to you, my brother, Justine Kai, who is watching and participating. I'll be coming to read your comments on our Facebook page. Yes, you are going to queue to what he's saying?
Yes.
Yes, but they have been active, except you want to believe that they have not been into politics.
No, I know that they have been active, but we do not want what the bishop, what the president of the national.
Okay, he's calling his colleagues to order.
Yes, that was the arena they met in Kumba to iron out some of those things, and that is why when the bishop of Yagua, the bishop of Bafusam, the bishop of Douala, when they made their separate outings.
Yes, the bishop of Bafang also.
Bafang. When they made their separate outings, none of the Episcopal Conference did not come out to say this. And I think that it is why they went to Kumba, and there in Kumba, it was they rectified the issues within them. And this is what the Catholic Church in Cameroon has to say. We should not mix it up. And Bishop Nkea is simply telling Cameroonians, you need to go beyond church to depend on the church. For example, what is the bishop telling us? The National Episcopal Conference, they are sitting and telling us that you people, we are still under-registered on the electoral list indirectly. How do you want to interpret what he says? This is some of the things he's saying. We are still under-registered on the electoral. Go and register so that when you want to talk tomorrow, figures will talk, numbers will talk, and not the street demonstration of violence. The bishop did not encourage violence, and I don't think they will ever do in Cameroon. Again, the bishop say indirectly say you need to go beyond church to depending on the church. What do? You need to register. You need to learn how to vote. You need to learn how to hold your politicians accountable. Is that what Cameroonians do? All we know is to sit on social media and talk, and blame people. Like I said, we like transferring aggression. I will understand that the Cameroonian public have become so violent that the least person who says something, they don't take time to reason. We don't take time to reason, to scrutinize what they are saying. We are just shifting blames on what is been happening. We take violence, we take what we are supposed to tell politicians, and we are attributing to bishop. It is not done. And I want to iterate here. The bishop and the National Episcopal Conference, he came out clear and said it. We should not expect the church to do what we are supposed to do. And I think from there that the message is clear. The bishops will not go and stand on the pulpit and say, no, you should go and vote for. I am talking about the National Episcopal Conference, the Catholic Church in Cameroon. They will not go and say we should go and vote for Paul Biya, go and vote for Maurice Kamto, go and vote for Issa Chiroma. No. But they will tell, they are the moral conscience. The church is the moral conscience of the society. Even politicians, you were asking a question, why do politicians go to church? Why shouldn't they go? That is not the only place where politicians must not, they go to church. They are normal Christian. Like a citizen has two ways. In church, he's a Christian. Down there in the society, he's a militant. He's a citizen. So why should they not go to church? They have bell churches like my prince said. They have bell churches and given. Do they give out the churches, build the churches like in their name or as ministers? They do it as personal. Like for example, there's a minister, I will not call his name. He did that as a minister. He did that as a person. He has donated things in Bamenda as a person, not as a minister. So Cameroonians should try. This is the time for us to look at when something comes out from an authority. We should look at it with the critical eye of the brain. We should not be so quick to judge, so quick to say that no, this bishop, he's saying this, he has said it, or want him to say it. We should not dictate what he's supposed to say. He will not say what we have in our mind, because it is not his role to say whatever he has in mind. And that is why now, as we are saying, the bishop has already given us a call. All Cameroonians, go out there and register. The electoral list has been open since on the 2nd of January. Those preparing for municipal and legislative elections, go now and register, so that when the time comes, you will not accuse the bishop for not telling to go and register, because they have already spoken it using the words of God, using the wisdom.
Good evening, Mr. Leo and team. The church has to be in politics to make it right. I think politics is to convince someone to accept your view. Now your view has to favor the people you are leading. So the church has a responsibility to see that the people live right. The church has to take a stand, because the church is not a democracy. The Bible says, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. How will a righteous rule if the church does not involve in politics? God speaks to his people through the prophets till the war will come to an end. Our pastors, bishops, prophets are not doing enough. The church has to speak the right for the people. You go to church, you don't question the gospel. God rules over his people, and his servants are prophets, bishops, and pastors. Pastor Emmanuel is writing from Bamenda. Why do many Cameroonians rely more on the church than on civic institutions for change?
The reason is because the church is not playing partisan politics. And they believe that since the church is not playing partisan politics, it stands a chance to actually fight for social justice and truth and reconciliation. And if you look at this, that's why you see many Cameroonians believe so much in the church. And secondly, they believe so much in the church because all of the political stakeholders go to church. We have seen how in some parishes in Yaoundé, ministers are given special seats more than the celebrating priest, because the priest normally is the one who is sitting in persona Christi, that should have the biggest seat and the most luxurious seat. But unfortunately, we saw that. So they believe, the Christian believe that since these persons are coming to you, you should be able to talk truth to them, and you should be able to tell them our suffering, and you should be able to also tell them how we think that our issues can be resolved. The number 3 reason is because the people believe that you cannot easily arrest them when they tell you the truth, as you can do with us when they tell you the truth. Remember the famous word which we grew up to hear, that kill Ndongmu, but don't kill my bishop. So you see at that point in time, and secondly, the people believe that the church has the moral obligation to be incorruptible. Where if they see red is red and they see white is white. That's why many people tend to look at the church. However, we are the church. The church doesn't necessarily mean the leaders of that institution. We too, the followers, are the church, because we play a key role in the church. Because if you look at what is happening, like in the Roman Catholic Church, for example, when you say, remember, Lord, your church spread throughout the world and bring her to the fullness of charity. Now, that remember, Lord, your church spread throughout the world and bring we the people. Remember, Lord, the people spread throughout the world and bring them to the fullness of charity. So, when we say that particular place, remind us that Jarvis, if you are in a Roman Catholic Church, you are the church. And the issue there also is, as a Christian, we must be able to speak also the truth, because there is something that I will repeat it here, that if you look at the Christian denominations, everybody looks at the Roman Catholic Church that they must speak. But the question is, how many people have indexed the Pentecostal churches of not talking? What of the other known Roman Catholic Church?
Today is
I'm looking at this.
Archbishop. No, today is Archbishop.
Okay,
yes.
good. But on this note, therefore, the bishops have always been consistent in their outing. And for example, Jarvis as a journalist is different from Jarvis as a presenter. When I choose to be as an editorialist, you will expect a different me, because as an editorialist I will speak. But when I choose to anchor a program as Jarvis, I don't need to bring in my personal opinion to it as professional. So every profession within the church, or the same like out of the church, has its policies, its ethics. And one thing that gives the bishops, the priests, the power to talk politically without taking partisan political wrath is when it comes to the pastoral letter. And that's why the pastoral letter are being read. If a bishop writes a pastoral letter now, it will be read in all the parishes in his diocese, such that if the government officials or the opposition officials, whoever is there that concerned, they should hear and they should know that this is the opposition of the people. And I tell you, each time something bad happens, the bishops write pastoral letter. So my dear people of God, please, you have your own way of looking at this, and I share with you, and I understand you have a right. However, let us also look at things objectively and ask ourselves what has been our role also in the change that we need in our respective nation. I'll give you an example. People look at the church, the church is not talking. Some of them, how many registered for the election? Those who will register, how many went to vote? If you look at the voting apathy in Cameroon, even in the last presidential election, look at how many people went out to vote. At the end of the day, we seem to say, oh, the church. But at the end, what is our own responsibility? The church has been clear. And that is why this 49th seminar. And you will see the pastoral letter. I've not yet seen the pastoral letter, but I know there will be a pastoral letter which will be circulated. And that is why you hear from the church. The church always says this: stand together for what you believe, work for what must be done, love each other in all that you do, till all my people are one. And that is what the church has stand for. The church is one, the church is holy, the church is apostolic, and the church is universal. The bishop are Cameroonians, yes, they have a right to a ballot, yes, but in their homilies, you will hear the same thing that they are talking about. They preach about social justice. They talk about it in their homilies, in all their homilies.
At the end of the day, what are you saying? If you deny and you are accepting that they're already doing it.
No, I've started and I've been consistent that people should not expect partisan politics from what is happening. The bishop preach what the ordinary Cameroonians are going through, but they will not tell you that this party is wrong, this party, and that is the contention. I've been clear on that. That is what the people expect. And he said politicians should handle that one. The bishops are not politicians. Like his priest said something here that he's sure that if the bishop, his grace is given the opportunity, he will retract his life. His grace will maintain what he has said. He will still maintain it because what he said is not political. Maybe you are talking about him from a political standpoint, but from a church's teaching, he will still maintain that on it.
He will maintain on it. Yes. Why do people, if people are disappointed in politicians and they now decide to turn to the church, is it right and timely for the church to say, no, please, you are making an error? This is not the best place. Go and depend on the politicians who have failed you throughout the years. Is that the good? How comforting can this be for the for the people? But let me take this one from my big brother Kucha Christian, who is watching us from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the team. Archbishop Nkea's outing was not necessary. He doesn't care about the suffering masses from whose finances the church is surviving. To tell Cameroonians to keep the Catholic Church out of politics is telling them that whether the masses suffer or not, the church does not care. Okay, Chief Ben Teke Leme, watching from Bosumbu in Limbe, says, I love the topic. Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and special greetings to Prince Joel, and a happy new year to him as well. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Nanje Rudolph, I'm watching from Kumba. I do enjoy this topic of today. Okay, good evening, Mr. Leo, and to all the panel. The church has the responsibility to make sure what is right should be done, given the fact that archbishops are first of all Cameroonians. Therefore, the same bad roads, high prices of goods and services, and corruption those archbishops are facing the same consequences. And even when the president wants to take an oath of office, he uses the holy book. So how can you separate clergymen from politics?
Mr. Leo, let me share with you and the viewers an open letter that is dated 8 on the 8th of January. It's coming from Professor Janarius Asongo, hope I pronounce it clearly, Chancellor of St. Monica University of Buea. It's an open letter to Archbishop Nkea. It says, greetings. Your statement urging Cameroonians to leave the bishops to preach profoundly misses the point. He says, the gospel is Christ, a public truth demanding ethical witness. And of course, let me just go quickly. I'll give it to you, so you do it's better you do the reading. It says here, Mr. Leo, that we would have loved to see you rebuke the government with the same force used to rebuke the citizens. This display undermines credibility. Furthermore, nowhere in the canon law text you cited does it state that bishops cannot address corrupt electoral processes or denounce state violence or stand with the people. Now, Mr. Leo, what I am saying, I understand that my brother Jarvis, maybe he has how do I put it? He's Catholic, and I think that he just wants to maintain the fact that it will be difficult to look at anything that came from the Archbishop as though something wasn't actually good with it. Mr. Leo, the church has a role which it is, to me, is to hold power accountable. That's what I said here. Most people believe in what comes from their preachers. It is very common to hear most people in the quarters who do not even respect their husbands call their papas daddies. And someone who finds it difficult even to clean their own house goes to church every Saturday or Friday to clean the entire building. Now, what I think here is that the Archbishop would have said to me, the church is not ignorant of the social ills, but the church cannot actively get involved. It would have been somehow. But now when you come and say that Cameroonians should take their destinies in their hands, to me, I'm still coming back to the fact that if the Archbishop could be given an opportunity to clear the air, which I think should be necessary, like you talked about, or as a pastoral letter. But now, you and I know, Jarvis, that once you say a word, it's like a bullet. You cannot go and catch it again. Cameroonians have already understood, and they are rather thinking that the church has rather sided with the government. It's like the church is applauding for some of the social ills that are befalling Cameroonians. If you go to the Unity Palace, pray for President Paul Biya, and you say that you want peace during and after the presidential elections, Cameroonians are expecting that, okay, you do a kind of an autopsy of what actually happened and what is on the ground. So I still want to feel, Mr. Liu, that I may not have the strength and the energy to actually give any word, say piece of advice to the Archbishop, but I think that what he said, like most persons are saying, it was to an extent not too necessary for me. The bishop, or rather the church, would have just gone ahead to hold their conference that was taking place in Kumba without necessarily telling Cameroonians that you don't expect us to get involved into politics. If you read the political scene in Cameroon, those who are more involved in politics are even the church. We see the role they are playing. Cameroonians are not ignorant. The church, we saw the Apostolic Nuncio, Mr. Leo, during the New Year wishes at the Unity Palace, held the presence and they discussed for long. There was, I think, for close to 2 minutes or plus.
No, he was preaching the gospel according to the book of Matthew.
Yes, the president, we know that the president greets people and just leave. But when the president held the clergy that were coming, the Apostolic Nuncio, I saw it for close to 2 minutes or plus. They were discussing.
This person,
and many persons, Mr. Leo.
Let me cue you. This person says, Epa writing from Douala, say, greetings, Mr. Leo. From what the bishop said and what is written here is contradictory based on the facts of him saying that the church is not a political forum to talk that let citizens take their responsibility. He quotes a portion of, I'm sure, the outing. Yes, because it says that deeply concerned about the post-election social unrest marked by a climate of fear. These are the bishops here. On that same occasion, yes. Climate of fear and uncertainty. The bishops reaffirmed their commitment to the common good, dialogue, and the promotion of unity and dignity for every human person. These are the bishops talking on that same occasion. So why are they talking about this when you say they are there to preach?
It was on the pulpit. I talked about Pastor Leonard.
No, please.
Mr. Leo, what I'm still saying here is that, to me, it's my opinion, and I think that
you have the right to your opinion.
Yes, and I still feel that if Archbishop Nkea is given an opportunity, he may want to retouch the weddings. The weddings may have not had the intent it has now, because Cameroonians are like, I'm one of them. And I think that the impression the bishop gave us is that we care very less about some of the things that Cameroonians go through on daily basis. But when you look at the part that we have watched the clergy play all through the political evolution of Cameroon, we have rather seen them very involved in the political destiny. To come and tell Cameroonians now today that the church is not a place where they preach politics, something is wrong. I feel that once you use soft words in front of the Christians, it is going to reduce, for instance, acts of vandalism. It is going to reduce lots of social ills. But telling the people that we are not involved in the political scene, there's a great problem.
Emmanuel, what would be the importance of this outing now?
The importance of the outing has already the message given. We remember Cameroon is not like Nigeria, where there's a Roman Catholic priest who is a governor who got into practical politics. Let us look at these two instances.
But it's a Catholic church.
Excuse me,
that priest was sanctioned.
It's a Catholic church.
Yeah, he was sanctioned. Good. To tell you that what the bishops are saying, and even the pastor, somebody is just quoting, I don't see it partisan. There is nothing. The bishop is calling on the authorities and Cameroonians. You should work for that. Who is talking about dialogue? Who are those to dialogue with? He's talking to the administrators of the state. People should engage where there is dialogue, where the dialogue is needed. Go in for it.
Without the church, would the church not be part of the dialogue?
Is it not already the church being part of it? The church is already giving you a way out. with a soft voice, with a moral conscience, that this is what is supposed to be done. And we should not go blabbing saying that what is there is not politics.
It's not partisan politics.
It is not. It is not. So let us not misinterpret the president of the National Episcopal Conference for having said what, because I think that if you get back to him, he will still say the message, and even clearer than the way we think. The message is clear, and he has given it. Cameroonians, we need to go beyond the church to depending on the church. How did we come to be dependent on the church? You evoke the question of during the national dialogue. Did you hear? It is proposal. Those people bring out the proposal coming from what they have, the people they know. They are leading Christians who are at the same time citizens and militants. And if they are coming to say, okay, this is what these people want, this is what my Christian want, what is the problem? Why are some people only indexing the Catholic Church? Because he says so. Why are they not inboxing?
Today they say we're talking about the Catholic.
Excuse me. Yeah. So and the discussion can go on, because if it's only about the Catholic, why are they not inducing other people now to talk, other religious bodies to talk? We have traditional authorities, we have the imams. Why are they not asking them to talk? And I believe very well that some of them, if they give them the opportunity to talk, they are going to stay on their lane without mingling, say what is there, bring out the moral, soften the hearts of Cameroonians so that they can use the brain and analyze. That is the role of the church. The church is not supposed to mingle, to stand in, like if I am to talk like a politician. Let me say.
So politics is supposed. So lawyers also are not supposed to talk about. Lawyers should be at the court. Journalists should be here, and then traditional rulers should be in the palaces. Medical doctors should be.
I didn't say so.
That's what you are saying.
I didn't say so. What I'm saying is this: bishops do not have the prerogatives to.
Teachers should stay in the classroom.
No. I'm talking about bishops, because bishops are universal teachers. Excuse me, please. And let me say this: we should not get it twisted. Bishops are teachers of the souls, the conscience. They are not supposed to mingle in politics, partisan politics. Unlike politicians, who can tell you something today that tomorrow he knows that he is not going to achieve it. We are living witnesses today. So I'm not accusing politicians, but it is a fact that politicians, they are able to say what is not true and they go away with it. But bishops are not supposed to venture in that type of area, in that milieu. They are there to guide the soul, because he said when somebody is calm, quiet, he can.
What were the bishops? What did the bishops go to do at the Unity Palace?
They were invited. Please let's get it. They were invited
to come and pray
for consultations
on what?
On the state of affairs in Cameroon.
With respect to what?
With respect to the political nature. What is your eyes?
Now you come back to with respect to the political nature. It was in preparation for the presidential elections.
It was in preparation for the presidential elections. Did
you listen to the interviews they granted after that?
The president of the national.
What did he say?
He said they are there to talk to. They were doing consultations to tell, and they spoke to the SJP that this is what Cameroonians want, and they are encouraging state authorities to make sure that elections should be conducted in fair and all transparency.
Yeah, but is that not already talking about politics?
It is not partisan. It is not partisan.
No, nobody. You guys are getting something wrong here. Nobody has talked about partisan politics here. We are talking about politics. We have not said that the bishops are talking in favor of the CPDM, SDF. That is, you guys don't give the audience, please. Nobody is talking about partisan politics here. Partisan politics comes now when you start linking what they are doing to the CPDM, to the SDF. That's partisan. Here we are talking politics.
Yes.
Now, when you go to the Unity Palace and then you say you came to be consulted.
No, and we invited you to consult you on this particular aspect. And what do you have to say?
Yes, and at the end, what did they say?
They gave him. They say what they want, what they wish, and they know that is right. It's for the state of Cameroon to organize fair and transparent elections. That was what he said.
And to also look at peace before.
To all look at peace. Yes, after the elections. How was that?
Did he come out to say no? We don't have a voice to say in political issues. Why were they consulted at all?
Let me just come in there.
No. You're answering for him. Yes.
Please, Mr. Leo, we are turning around the same thing. You are being invited somewhere to answer. When you have been tabled the menu. the agenda, this is what we've invited you for. And what is your own take about this thing? And they said, we wish to have a Cameroon, during elections, a peaceful Cameroon. After elections, a peaceful Cameroon. And we wish, more precisely, to have a transparent and free and fair elections. That is what they are prescribing to the conscience of the state. That is we can say that they went to the umbilical cord of the state, and they were telling them, okay, for it to go this way, for there to be peace, for there to be tranquility, fairness, and everything, let the elections be free and fair. And who are those organizing the election? The state, through Elecam. So, and I don't think that one was not mixing of words, and it did not favor anybody. They were talking to the collective conscience of stakeholders who are there. We saw the Secretary General of Presidency who was sitting in for the president, and that was not a campaign something. So we should not mix it, because Cameroonians are taking it now that when the president of the National People's Conference said Cameroonians should not expect the church to do what they want.
Okay.
Because they want to impose on the state.
Somebody says this to answer Mr. Jarvis. I bear you, the Church of Cameroon is divided. We see the difference between them. The Francophones, bishops, and the English-speaking bishops. We see how since October 12th, presidential elections, the English bishops have failed. They have been silent for long, especially Bishop Nkea and Bibi. They should talk because they themselves are Cameroonians too. Even the pastoral letter known have been circulating since October 12th election with all the irregularities. EPA is writing from Douala. Good evening, Mr. Leo, and to all your fellow panelists. The church is an embodiment of both the governors and the governed. The church preaches to the governed that they should be hopeful and never lose hope in their dreams for a better tomorrow, and to the governors that they should lead with love, sincerity, you want to write sincerity, and truth, to never shy away from the truth in leadership. This is the church's unique mission. Even the Pope in Rome represents this unique mission. For the war in Ukraine, for example, the Pope has never openly rebuked anyone, even Russia, because that's the church's role, to bring everybody, including adversaries, together. The church cannot openly rebuke or actively take a side in a political turmoil. We must also take into consideration of the different political climate the church operates. An example, the church in the U.S. cannot be compared to the Church of Cameroon. The one in the U.S. enjoys more political involvement and freedom than the one in Cameroon. Likewise, other countries. Individual churches leaders might choose to go further in their engagement in politics, whether for or against, and the outcomes are their own to suffer or enjoy. Okay. This one says the church is not a political organization. Those who want political offices in Cameroon have all run away for their safety. So okay, church should take up arms or start resistance on their behalf. Okay, Bless is writing from Boya. Hello, Mr. Leo. It's rather unfortunate that we are indexing the Catholic Church, though they wrote an episcopal letter for all Cameroonians included, those of the army. But I don't know who killed civilians in the aftermath of the presidential elections. The clergy, the imams, and the army should all be in the middle like a referee. Thank you, Mr. Leo, for the good job. Max Begini is writing from Düsseldorf in Germany. Yes. Now, how can citizens transform moral teachings from the church into concrete political actions? Because that is what the bishop is saying.
Yes. Just briefly, Leonard from Douala said the church has not talked about this, not made the statement after the presidential election.
Not the church. He talked about the diocese, the archdiocese of Bamenda and the diocese of Boya.
He said after the election.
He talked about two bishops.
Yeah, okay.
Here, and he said there is a difference. Francophones are talking. Guys?
Yes. Now, before coming to briefly, I just want us to know that the statement made by Nkea also said, he said, nor an election commission. He said that people expect the church to release a result I think we are forgotten about, because that was a full statement.
Yes.
No an election commission. He asked me a very important question. That is the outing timely? It is timely because people expected them to release the result of the polling unit that they monitored. That was why he said no an election commission, because it's coming now after a presidential election, and also in every year the bishop meets at a particular time to look at the state of affairs of the church and look at how the policies are going, what needs to be done, what needs to be adjusted. So it is timely, and they should know that the bishop, His Grace, was hammering also on the issue of election commission, that the church does not play an election commission. Like I said, people in that statement may say the bishop is talking about politics. No, the bishop is clear on, from my interpretation, of partisan politics. Now, how can they actually turn the social teachings into concrete action? It begins with self-evaluation. And it also begins on the fact that those who are within the church must understand one thing, that they serve the people of God, and also those who go to church understand that they have a role to play in making the world a better place. I find it funny that when we go to the mass for homily, we just go sometimes for regularities. Like, I went to church and the mass was good and the statement was good. But the issue we should also ask ourselves is, don't our authorities go to church? When they listen to the beautiful homily crafted out by the Catholic priests and bishops. I've attended one of the bishops' mass where they hammer so hard against corruption, against fraud, against thievery. We have witnessed. The question is, what did they do after? It is we to practice change. The bishop can only give a beautiful homily. Even if the bishop comes and take a political position, if you yourself going to church don't change your ways, and I always say every leadership is a reflection of its people, not a reflection of the church, a reflection of its people. The Cameroonian people, have they taken their destiny into their own hands? Why you expect the church to be an election commission to declare a result? That was what His Grace said. Because we are just following on the fact that political, not the place for political party. And he said, no, a place for no election commission or electoral commission. The social teachings can be transformed by all of us collectively, taking the teachings and making it part of us. And the question is, those who go to church, Roman Catholic Church, the leaders who go to church, we see them on a regular basis. They are in front of the seats, and I will tell you that anytime you attend a program where you see top government officials listen to the homily, you will hear how powerful the homily is. The homily will always talk about against corruption, we always talk against bad governance, we always talk against ills that we are facing in our society. Yes, of course, man is a political being. The church itself has its church's politics. We cannot eradicate that from the church. And that's why you see the church has decided to expand in tele-evangelism, what we call the electronic church. The church believes that, okay, we have been so passive in preaching and making people to come only to listen to us. Now let's take the gospel to their homes. And that's why you see the Roman Catholic Church is investing heavily now on media, such that the gospel can go to the people can listen to it at their respective position. You can listen to it at the radio, you can watch it at the normal TV, you can follow it on your phone. The social teachings are always there, giving us a summary of what we should be. But the issue is, are we what we think we should be? Are we first of all Cameroonians? Do we think Cameroon? Each Cameroonian, do they think? A typical example, you go to a place, they write there, don't throw the garbage here, you throw the garbage. You see, Saint Intedi, don't take this road, you take the Intedi. If you don't do this, you do that. At the end of the day, you expect that kind of behavior. The church should come and transform your mind. The church they have done their best. Transforming it to social teaching is for all of us to make Christ the center of our life and practice what we hear from the mass. Practice what we listen to from the mass, and if we can practice that, we can be a better person. And I find it also funny to see that these same persons who are indexing the church about the church not playing its role or expecting the church to take political position on this issue, they should ask themselves this fundamental question: that what have they done so far in the democratization process of Cameroon? Because we expect the politicians who were supposed to be at the bed and core of this process, most of them are flee away. They are fleeing, like the Bible says, flee away from all appearance of evil. They are fleeing, and they expect the church to come and stand and say, okay. In the bottom line, whether people agree with me here or not, people expect, what they expect from the church is to take a partisan line And that is what the church will not take, because a partisan line doesn't meet the agenda of the church. The pastor, the lawyer can involve in politics because they don't give, there's not barrier. But the church of Catholic Church does not give room for any priest, religious, to involve in partisan politics. That's why you never hear a mayor as a priest. You will never hear a parliamentarian as a priest. You will never hear a senator as a priest. You will never hear any appointed officials, political governor as a priest, because their role is to fight for social justice, to make sure that social injustice is eradicated, to make sure that the teachings of the Christ, like you said, give to Caesar. Go to church, you listen to church. To church, if you want partisan politics, go to political parties. Prince is a political party, is a militant. This man is a militant. Their party should take responsibility and frontline it and come to mass and give thanksgiving and say, okay, we are giving thanksgiving, praying that God should bless our leader.
Okay. Now, are Cameroonians truly ready to take responsibility for their future without waiting for religious or political leaders today?
I think that the first responsibility of every Cameroonian, like myself, is to get involved in the political landscape of their country. This is done firstly by registering in the ballot box, or rather registering and also voting, Mr. Liu. The one thing in life is everybody must not look at life on the same coin. You should register, you should vote, and ensure that you voted the person you wanted to be president and protect the vote. That's the first thing. Another responsibility I think that we as Cameroonians should play, which I'm also a Cameroonian, is what are we doing to change our own main environment? I think I was reading somewhere, someone wrote that if you want the world to change, let us first of all start this change in our own homes. And I believe here, Mr. Liu, that we should be able to, when people sit every day, I said something here that many Cameroonians just believe that you tell someone, Lekam has opened back the registration process. Have you registered? And the person tells you, why should I even go and register? Because even if I register or not, Pobia has won the elections. At the end of the day, we sit and blame someone who goes out there to register and vote. And I also think that, Mr. Liu, when we talk of responsibility, that Cameroonians should take their responsibility, many persons may want to feel that taking responsibility is going out there and protesting. The truth about this thing, I went to Bonanjo, I think, after the presidential elections of 2018, I was marveled. I was there with a lawyer, and I met some women crying bitterly. These are innocent women whose children were bundled in the quarters and they don't even know where these children are. But the real people who are the politicians out there, do we see them championing the protest actions? Do we see them taking the lead? We have someone who says he won the just ended presidential elections, but we're expecting another person to be in Cameroon and taking a lead to say, okay, we want to take back what had happened. I feel, Mr. Liu, that it is time, when we talk of responsibility, some people may be thinking that it's time to go out there, destroy, carry out the acts of vandalism. The electoral process is on. Go and register. Municipal and legislative elections are coming up, Mr. Liu. I think latest in June. Now, someone is not concerned on who is going to be their mayor. Someone is not concerned on who is going to be their parliamentarian. Why? Because they already feel and have this impression that irrespective of what they do, it settles down to nothing. This mindset needs to change. It is go out there and register. If you have already registered, I don't think that elections Cameroon even makes it easier. That if, for instance, you registered in Noni and you have now relocated to Douala, you just simply go to the elections governing Lekam head office around your area, notify them and they transfer it. But someone, since registration is not done more than once, but we just feel in Cameroon that what works for Burkina Faso, what works for Gabon, what works for Chad will work for Cameroon. I'm not discouraging anyone, Mr. Liu, but I want to say that some persons were picked up in 2018. They are still gnashing their teeth, but the leader of that political party is moving in freely. He's a free man. And I think that Cameroonians have gone past a certain mentality, Mr. Liu. The mentality of manipulation. We have a lot of people who come up and manipulate people, give them the impression that you need to do this, you need to do that. Mr. Liu, the best way...
Is that why the church has to wash its hands from politics?
No. You were asking my personal opinion as a Cameroonian.
Yes.
Not, I have already said it and I'm categorical on it that the church, to me, from what the Archbishop said, to me it wasn't good. If I were to look into it and propose, I would have said, I would have even told, if I had the opportunity to have read it or have gone through, I would have said, I think, Father and Big Brother, that this thing that you were coming to say, it would not go well for the society.
What?
Because when you come and tell people that they should take their destinies in their hands and not expect the church to be involved, that's a problem.
In context, today, what according to you should the church be doing?
The church, first of all, should be preaching moral values to Cameroonians. That's the first thing. The second thing the church, I've not made my point here. The second thing the church should be doing is, Mr. Liu, the church has a very key role to play in leaders and leadership in everywhere. In every country where you are, the church has a role to play. And I still feel that it would not have been wrong. We saw this same church preach to Cameroonians and encourage them to go and vote, go and register. When you encourage people to go and register, when you encourage people to go and vote, and when you still encourage those same people by going, representing, because the church that went to the Unity Palace wasn't individuals. It's that same church that went to say, we just met with the president, we have told the president that there should be a kind of free, fair and transparent elections. Now, when you say all those things, the same people are looking up to you to give them a balance sheet of what has become from the role you were playing.
Yes.
But when you, I'm coming, sir, when you come back now and say, we are off it, it's just like selling a goat and holding tight to the rope. What did you get from the Unity Palace?
No,
because many people are, Mr. Leo, the truth is,
that's the question
yes,
I was asking.
many people are of the impression that some persons for their self-interest went to the Unity Palace and left with huge bags of money. What did you go to do there? Did you not go to tell Cameroonians at the end, and you promised Cameroonians on media, on even the state broadcaster, that we want free, fair and transparent elections? Do you? We're expecting that the bishops should be telling Cameroonians now, either by taking a stand that, okay, we also took part in the elections, this is what we think was the outcome.
Yeah, but I asked you this question and you said an interview was granted after the
meeting with the
audience.
LP.
Yes, at the Unity Palace.
Yes.
Now, when you say you are praying for peace, transparent, free elections.
Yes.
And after that, we have what we are observing. There are persons who have gone out of Cameroon. There are persons who are in Kondingi today because of these elections. We have so many who are locked up. And so and many things have happened. It is true, we've read in the letter that they did, they have actually expressed that, but that is already taking part in the socio-political activities of this nation. Now, is it not contradictory to say we are not part of this when you are already participating in it?
Mr. Leo, we should get it clear. The bishop did not say they are out of the political scene. They are there, but they have a specific role to preach morality, to guide their consciences.
Is that what he said? Or you are interpreting?
I am giving an interpretation that is going.
Okay, you are giving an interpretation to what he said.
Everything we are saying, people didn't, and that is why my second segment was coming to say that people are expecting the bishops or other institutions to go and declare the elections in Cameroon. The bishops cannot violate the laws of the country. Elections in Cameroon are being declared, election results are being declared by the Constitutional Council, and you don't expect the bishops to carry and declare.
It's not the Constitutional Council, not the Election Commission.
So, and that is why we have to put it clear. They have gone, they did what they are doing, and we should bear with them. People are in Konendi, people are all over, people are running because they ignored the teachings, the advices, and the moral doctrine that was given to us. If they told people that please do not go out and destroy. Don't go. You can march. It's a civic duty. It is enshrined in the Constitution. You can march, but do not go out to destroy. Did you see the bishop going asking people to go and destroy? No. And so those who have found themselves elsewhere, it is either because they went out to march.
What we all observed the elections, right?
Yes.
The bishops observed also.
The bishops observed, and they were not observing to come and give Cameroonians the report because they already done that. Where was it stated? Please, let's get it clear. Was it stated that when the bishop goes for the observation, or any other body that did the observation of the elections, was he supposed to come and declare to the public?
They're observing for who?
That is the question now. The bishops have been observing. They do that observing, and they are going to write their report to the state, to the Vatican. Please. It is the state of Vatican that the bishops are going to. And how is it going to affect us, the common citizen? So they are through their teachings. If we took the teachings of the bishop, to be frank, if we listen, if we have calmed down ourselves, our emotions, our temperament, to have listened to the bishops and other moral authorities, we shouldn't have found ourselves where we are, because we are manipulated left and right, and we forgot. You are
looking at the aftermath of the elections.
Even
did you see people stealing elections?
Did I see people stealing elections?
Yes.
No, I did not. I didn't.
I didn't.
I didn't see people stealing elections.
You did not see where somebody was slapped?
You asked me if I saw people stealing.
You did not see.
If I did not see, because I tell you I saw people stealing, then I'm part of the thief.
So what is happening in Ukraine? You are talking about Ukraine because you were there?
I did not say so. I am not in Ukraine, but I follow what is there. If you ask me,
you did not follow what happened in Cameroon.
You are asking me if I saw people stealing election. Is a difference between, did I hear people talking about election being stolen? It's a different question.
No, we watched the videos now.
You watch the videos, you are saying what?
Okay,
you said, no, you asked me if I saw people stealing elections.
Just land.
Yes,
yeah.
what I will say is please, the bishops are not going to declare election, because it is not the competent body to declare any election or to do whatever. The bishop will do all the teachings, the moral teachings, the conscientious teachings, and do everything. It is now for us, the Christians, who are the flocks of the bishops, and at the same time, militants of the various political parties, to go and practice. If I go down to the street now with the teachings from the bishop, what am I going to do? If they talked about virtue, I'm supposed to go practice it.
Yeah,
we are supposed to go practice it.
Let me come. When the bishops preach virtue,
yes,
right, before the elections, in the process of the elections, if a group of persons spends time disregarding what the bishops preached and actually stuffed ballots in the boxes, and we saw all what happened, should the bishop not also call them out?
If the bishops are aware that they have the proofs, the legal proofs that these people stuff ballots, they should go and condemn it. Please, let me finish my statement. Please, let me finish. Let us get it clear. If the bishop, it's good, because the bishops, they are not only depending on the Bible, they have to follow. The state of Vatican knows that sending people to Cameroon, sending the church in Cameroon, first of all, they have to, they are in their credence. When the apostolic nuncio is coming, he has to read out the letter, and he's giving a legend that he is here to respect the laws of the land. I think, please let me finish. He has to. He only plays that he's going to respect the laws of the land, and that's why they have to do everything represent. And if the bishops, in their report, after observing the election, if they report that these elections were stolen, providing fact, it is very normal to deny them. It's very normal to deny everything, to castigate everything, and and do whatever is legal.
I think to answer a question on that, the bishops, you said they preached virtue before, and when we saw how ballot was stuffed in some areas.
So you saw it?
Yes, we saw. I saw. Okay. The truth is, I saw.
Looks like it was in mass when the election was.
No, I saw a ballot was stopped. I saw people were slapped. I saw how they were attacked. We watched the videos. We watched the video until at one point in time I said, but what have the law done to arrest these people? We have not heard that these people have faced justice. Now, the issue, to answer a question, what did the bishop do after? After the bishop released a pastoral letter, before the declaration, which they explained some of these irregularities that were observed, how some stuffing were done, and they condemned it in their pastoral letter. Those who have not read it should go and check the pastoral letter released by the bishop before the presidential election, the declaration. And they said that the will of the people should be respected in that pastoral letter.
Now, that one,
now the question we should be asking is, which I understand is, was the will of the people respected, and what will of the people were they talking about in the pastoral letter should be respected? Now the people are coming back to ask that question. That's why you see the people are putting pressure on the bishop, that you said the will of the people should be respected. What was that will you had when you observed the elections? Because if you say the will of the people should be respected, it means that you monitor 39% of the polling units, and means you should have the will and tell us if it was respected or not. Now, on this note, therefore, the bishops are coming back to say that they are actually indexing the failure of political parties, because the bishop said, we are not a political organization. We are not political parties. Political parties should not come to the church and hide and not do the activity. We are not election commission. We are not election the declaration. And this is it. It's simply saying that the parties, the political parties, opposition parties have failed in their activity. The bishop indexed the opposition parties that they have failed. Because how come people are bypassing opposition parties and coming to the bishops? Where were the result of the opposition parties, the parties that went for this election, that everybody is looking at the bishop? Were we not here when one party told us that they have 31,000 polling agents? Were we not here? Now the people are asking the bishops. That's why the bishop was clear. Were we not here? Please, were you not in Cameroon? Where we were told that by a particular political party that they have recruited 31,000 polling agents to monitor the election? Were we not here when that same party told us that by 8 p.m. they will have provisional results? Were we not here when one of the candidates also of the election came out and said he believed that he's second or third? Under what basis was he talking about the second or third? Till after the election, have those candidates brought out their procès-verbal and give us an audit to their own election, that they're expecting the bishop to do the same? That's why the bishops are clear that you, the politicians, you should take your responsibility, because we are not election body. You, the opposition party, take your responsibility. Were we not here when this debacle was going up and down? How much unity did the opposition party come together and be united and speak at one voice? It was a matter of this party and a matter of this party. Everybody was in their cool. And these same people are militants of these same political parties. How many of them have actually held their party responsible and telling their party that you told us that you were second or third? Can we see your procès-verbal? Can we see even the one that won? Have we seen the procès-verbal? That everybody's talking about Cameroonians, the church maintain that they are not elecam. The church maintain that they are not constitutional council. The church maintain that the parties should take their responsibility. I think the question we should rather ask is, what have happened to all the monitoring that the opposition party had? Where are their results? How did they obtain it? What is the audit? Can we have the audit?
Should that not be the topic for another day?
No, I'm saying that is what the bishop was saying. That's what the bishop was saying, that politicians should take their responsibility. Political parties should take their responsibility, because they have observed that they have quiet. They got quiet after the election. The bishop has spoken more than some of these political parties that went for the election in their pastoral letter.
Okay, they were speaking on what? On politics?
On the neutrality, on the thing that affect the common man on a regular basis.
They are busy talking about money.
They are there talking about money. They are waiting for appointment. Expecting the church.
Prince Joel, what practical steps can youth take to become more politically responsible?
Come again?
Practical steps to be taken by youths to be more politically responsible rather than depending on the church.
I've said it here, Mr. Leo. The first thing is ensuring that you have registered on the voters list. When you look at the statistics that is published by elections governing body, the ELECAM in Cameroon, it shows that very few persons actually take part in active politics. I remember before the presidential elections, we had the elections boss for the East region calling via a communique that was read on the national station that people who had registered, some women registered, had abandoned their cards and they never came to collect it. Why, Mr. Leo? The first thing is, I just think the Cameroonians need to take away this idea of voters apathy. You don't need to just sit in your own comfortable area and tell yourself whether or not we vote, nothing will change. Go and vote first. It's first of all by registering. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if you vote and you think that at your own area where you voted, something did not work out well for the elections, there are other ways peacefully to do that. Because, Mr. Leo, when I look at innocent children who just take courage, move in the street, get up being molested by the forces of law and order, because I remember that, Mr. Leo, that protesting an election is constitutional, it's legal. But now the issue is the process through which you do it. Because if you come out, we saw what happened after the presidential elections, Mr. Leo. The guys we saw who were carrying pigs, the guys who break into Conjelcam, I don't know whether there was a ballot box in Conjelcam that people broke into stores. Okay, okay, I think so. So when you have people broke into people's personal residence too, we saw what happened in the West region, Mr. Leo. How the court was burnt down. You start asking yourself what people are looking for. Okay. You want to protest, you protest peacefully.
How do we become responsibly active in politics?
By registering.
Registering and participating. Okay, yes, we are out of time. One last word to the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. We want to encourage our audience that another time we are talking about politics, and we cannot go without emphasizing that the electoral list has been open for Cameroonians to register, so that the mistakes we had, the errors we witnessed during the presidential elections, we should correct them in the days ahead. We should register massively, we vote, and then we make sure we defend our vote, but not using the violent means. We should not take Conjelcam stuff, cartons of fish for cartons of elecam material, please. That is all what we don't want. We don't want violence again. People have suffered enough, and there is something the old regime is going, and we the youth, if we want to resort to violence, we shall not get there. Other old people are coming to take over old people, and that is why we the youth, we are the victims at all levels. No matter what happens, anybody who is a politician, he does sit in his house, read the literature he has, and we the youth are the ones suffering. We are the ones in prison. We are the ones going around with broken legs, everything. Please, we should understand that now is the issue. It is the principle of reasoning that is dictating to us, not our emotions, not our personal feelings. Let's look at how right something can be done. No matter what, democracy is not just gotten on the platter of gold or whatever we have. It is, we have to fight for it. It cannot apply like the gospel. It's not where Monsignor Nkea will say and the Lord will say amen and remain like that. No, democracy and the development of the society is something that we have to fight for it. It is a continuous process, and I would encourage all the youth to stay out of problems. Okay,
I would just ask this question for the second topic: evidence of fatigue in leadership. Nyad and Kavaye stage New Year wishes drama. That is what the Guardian Post actually carried. That's the article they carried after the New Year wishes received by the President of the Republic. The Senate President received some senators, not all of them, yes, at his residence, not at the National Assembly. Anyway, the President, it was at the presidency anyway. But he received them seated, and the Guardian Post is evidence of fatigue in leadership. And also at the level of the National Assembly, the Speaker himself could not do it. He was done through a Vice President representative, which shows that maybe he himself was not, I don't know. Yes, but he was not there. But is the Guardian Post apt to say that these are evidence of fatigue in leadership?
Of course, the Guardian Post is right, and to me, they made it so Republican, because the truth is, during the election process, we did not see active campaigns of these our great leaders. The President of the Senate was not even seen during the period of presidential campaign, which raised a lot of questions. But since we are in a tradition where accountability is rarely given and people cannot really get answers, it shows that it's an evidence of fatigue. We also saw when the President was receiving his New Year wishes, by all normal circumstances, it was supposed to be led by these great statesmen when they are calling their respective houses. But we did not see that. And the truth here is, you don't even go to them. Let's also look at the head of state. After this election, how many regions will he visit before the mandate comes to an end? 2018, how many regions before the mandate came to an end? It's just the campaign in Garwa, and after that, the region. So it's an evidence of fatigue. And that's why there is a need for the parties, the respective that particular party, to look for a way in which they can re-energize their base by giving the young politicians in the party a way forward, so that these persons can now play a guiding role, a fatherly role, to say that, okay, you can come for consultancy. To say, okay, daddy, this time you handle this and faced with this crisis. How can we do? What can we do? Because the truth is, you can never cheat nature. At one point in time, the area I used to run to, I can no longer run that same area. For example, I used to play 120. But now I cannot play 120. I can just take 90 minutes on the pitch. And on a regular day, I used to climb the mountain and go right to the summit and back. But now, before I get to the summit, I have to really put much energy. And in the next 5 or 2 years, I may just end at 3 or 2. As we ages, physical effort play in mind. We cannot negate the fact. And it is not a weakness. It is a strength, because we are blessed that we still have these great leaders. So, an evidence of fatigue, and that explains why you see our streets are littered with piles of debt. Because who is checking who? Those who appear before the parliament, how well are they scrutinized? Because these people have probably, the energy level has fallen. That's why you see potable drinking water is a major scarce commodity. You see electricity is epileptic. And if you move across Cameroon, the question you should ask any Cameroonian is, name me one thing that is working effectively in your area. They will find. They may not see. The only thing that they may say working effectively is beer. But the truth is, we should be very honest to ourselves. We love this country. And the fact that you don't have this movement plays a lot in check and balance. Because if you have the leaders, if the Senate president was actually active, there are things that he could talk with the president, meet the president, and say, hey, president can record that, hey, there was this thing that was supposed to be done, it was not done, because he's not physically there. We don't know till now. Nobody can be given an answer.
Maybe they talk on phone.
Yeah, on phone, but the physicality is not. It's an office for the public.
Okay,
for us Cameroonians.
We're talking about the New Year, which was described as drama according to the Guardian Post. Apt description of the current situation.
Mr. Leo, the truth is that as a young guy, even in primary school, I remember that I read that the president of the National Assembly is Kabayege Jibril. I've grown old. I also have children now. Well, I think that there comes a time in a man's life that they need rest. You cannot take it away. I want to believe that I was reading someone, I discovered that as early as 1983, Marsenyat Njifenji was already heading a very powerful ministry in this country, where at one time you read that he was controlling he was controlling Sonel and also controlling the polls, where one person wrote to another person, which is still him, demanding the purchase of polls, and those same polls, you see one person writing to 3 different people, and he says it was supplied. Now, what I feel here, Mr. Leo, is when I watched what was taking place at the Unity Palace, first and foremost, Mr. Leo, these 2 personalities hold very key positions in the nation. The president of the National Assembly, Kabayege Jibril, is the 3rd personality of this nation. The president of Senate, according to the Constitution, in case of incapacity, resignation from the president, of course, Marsenyat Njifenji is expected to sit while elections are programmed. Now, when you have these 2 heavy personalities, Mr. Leo, conspicuously absent at the Unity Palace, is a problem. And the other personality, because since his protocol, once the president received, it was the normal that he should, the National Assembly president should receive. Because on that same 31st, Mr. Leo, or rather on that day of the New Year wishes, some people just left the Unity Palace and the following day they were at the Masenya Nyifenji's house to receive New Year wishes. Now when you have someone whom people come to present him New Year wishes and the person doesn't get up, there is a question mark somewhere. Okay, it tells you that health-wise the person is not sound. It also tells you that age, because whether we want it or not, Mr. Leo, age is a natural factor. It's just like feeling that to relieve yourself. If you are traveling, Mr. Leo, and say you take a trip from now to Bamenda, Mr. Leo, and come back, say the following day, you're going to, even if you do not tell your viewers, they're going to see a kind of fatigue in you. It is time. I just feel that when the president talked about the coming days, which, like the Guardian Post said this today, that the coming days are not coming. I just feel, Mr. Leo, that some people are tired. It's just a kind of X-ray. It's X-raying that some persons within the corridors of power are tired and that they need rest. Rest is a natural factor. That you rest does not make you weak. It does, or rather, it doesn't show that you're incapable. It is rather, to me, it's rather a sign of maturity. I will bet you, Mr. Leo, that Roger Miller is one of those Cameroonians who was flying the green, red, yellow on the pitch. But that same Roger Miller will not have the same energy with Carlos Baloba today on the pitch. We should be honest and look at these things, because I just feel that the president of the National Assembly, who was to receive New Year wishes, is not even there. He's represented. How do you mean that you come and give New Year wishes to someone who is absent?
They will transfer.
How do you explain that? It just tells you.
What not been seen in the public.
And some of these things, Mr. Leo, they are given. I used to tell people that in as much as we are aligning with certain ideologies, we should also be able to tell those who are closest to a certain truth. Mr. Leo, if I'm going astray somewhere, I think you even tell me, Prince, okay, you did this, you did that. I'm thinking that. Because it is not because I'm supporting Emmanuel, for instance, that even if I find him doing a wrong thing, I will applaud for him.
Okay.
How do you have someone who is supposed to be at the Unity Palace? Look at the young guy we saw at the Unity Palace, Samuel Etofes. He's surrounded by the president, and they have a discussion. And you saw people who were there, but now some persons who were still there, you could see them dragging. Mr. Leo, the event that takes place at the National Assembly, or rather at the Unity Palace, though it's a tradition since Paul Biya became president of Cameroon, I want to bet you that it is something that is not taken for granted. And if you have two of these top personalities in the regime who were not at the Unity Palace, it is not a good sign for this nation.
Okay. Yes, sir. Did you really find a problem with the fact that the Senate president received not everybody but those who came seated while the Speaker of the House was not even there? If he was not there, why could he not just say, okay, when I'm available?
Okay. I will talk on two aspects. Let me start from the institution itself. We know that when the Senate president is not there, the next person is the first vice,
yeah,
who was actually there. He has been there even during the swearing in of the president of the republic. We know that Masanya Njivenji has not been present for long because of ill health. He has not been on for almost 6 months.
Has it been official?
Excuse me, please.
And we want to know now, sir. We know that we are.
No, okay.
Please.
He has not been there, and that's why we've seen the first vice president handling issues. Yes, which means that the Senate was in the Unity Palace. Secondly, the first vice
Bro, I just think that is not everything. If you see your
let
child falling into
talk.
a pit, you don't applaud for the child. You tell the child this road you're taking is a bad one.
I
understand, bro, but I just feel that
no, let me finish before you.
the Senate president should be represented on what basis? Just like telling
the administration has a way, it has a protocol, it has a line.
Okay.
And that's why the National Assembly, Kabaye Jibu was on there, but the first vice president, Honorable Hilary Oton,
to represent
was
in front of the president of the republic.
We should not think that we know administration more than those people.
It's true.
The state protocol is there and they know everything in it. Now, I was talking in terms of administration and the institutions, but coming to those particular persons, it kept us, many of us in that, had many questions to ask. Why are they not there in person? And I'm talking about the person of Cameroonian Jibril and the person of Masenya. Why are they not there? The institutions were represented actually. Now we look what worries many Cameroonians is why were they not there? And those are the type of questions we are looking for answers, and the answers are begging at us. And that is why the president in his speech will still find solace in his people say that this is the time of the youth. And actually nature is answering already it. This is the time of the youth and women. We should not be surprised tomorrow to see that the next person who is coming to be the president of the National Assembly should be a youthful person. Who should be the senator should be somebody who is 50 and below 60. And who are we to blame? If you see Nyat there tomorrow, if you see Kabaya, who are you to blame? You are still to blame people who are going to vote them. Municipal elections are coming up, and council elections. They are coming up in June latest. If the people of where Nyat from Bangante decides to vote Nyat, or the president decides to appoint him, who are we to blame? We are going to blame the head of state and the people of Maroa, where Kabaya comes from. If they decide to vote at this, okay, this is our parliamentarian, we still believe in him. Who are you going to? Are you going to blame him or the people? And that is why we are.
Yeah, but even if the people of his constituency decide to vote him, and the president decides to vote to appoint. Yes, but we have senators and the MPs. They are the ones who decide on who becomes the speaker.
I was developing my point. I'm coming. That if the people decide to vote these people and the president decides to appoint, and they get to the Senate, to the National Assembly, it is now the various parliamentarians, the 100 of them of the upper house and the 180 in the lower house. It is for them to see that this is the type of person we want to run this institution. And if they come out as the others have, we have long expected change at the rim of the National Assembly, where we go for vote and you see somebody coming out with 154 votes, other people not coming out with something. And we ask ourselves, does it mean that you, our representative, what do you do? Why are you there? You come and you at the same time people will mandate them to go and represent our interests, are the very ones who toil around and they don't do anything. Because if we want to start blaming them, we don't blame those who voted for them at the national level. That is why it's not going to be an issue of the voters again.
Okay, Mr. Emmanuel, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo, for having me today. It's been a wonderful program. I'm continually encouraging Cameroonians to go and vote.
Okay, and also to you, thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu, and I appeal to the consciences of my fellow Cameroonians that we all have our responsibility. Let us play our respective part and leave the rest to God. Only God has the final say. Let's pray that God bless and take us out of what we experience.
Thank you for coming, Prince Roy.
It's always a privilege, Mr. Liu, sharing this intellectual table with you and to all Cameroonians who take time to watch different programs on my Media Prime television that is proven today undoubtedly as one of those central institutions that is projecting the English culture. I want to say thank you to all the peace-loving people of Mr. J subdivision who are watching in their numbers this program this evening. Whenever nature wants us this time around, on this same platform, Mr. Liu will always be there to answer your call. Like I said, we should be able to accept certain realities, that good is good even if nobody does it, and bad is bad even if everyone does it. When someone is tired, they need rest. No matter how we babble with it, rest is necessary. I'm very sure, Mr. Liu, that I watched you, I think some years back, I'm yet to hold it, when you were one of those who were received by the Minister of Communication. How do you tell me that you did not go, you sent Jarvis or the editor-in-chief to go and represent? Nature is nature, let's be honest. No, let's be honest. Once you are tired, look for somewhere and rest. And that is why I think that, like the president said in his end of year speech, that it is time to give the youth and the women a voice. We are looking towards that in the days ahead. Okay.
We are also very grateful to all of you who took time off to watch tonight's edition of the program, and especially to the production team. Thank you to you, Eli, and the team. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.